The next book I'm going to talk about is a book that isn't new absolute favorite. It is The Neighbors by Diane. It is set in the middle of the churn of the civil rights movement, and it's very interesting because even like when she talks about Martin Luther King and stuff like that, this is 2 years before he would die, and she never knows how the civil rights movement will end up, but she's writing about it. And it begins with Neighbors, which is talking about the integration of a school, and only one boy has decided to integrate, or his family has decided to integrate him, and he is 6 years old. And yeah, it's heartbreaking. They're all worried about it, and we find that discussion around that and the effects that have on the family and of the boy and all of those things. And then we go to a young woman who is working as a maid, but she is planning on going to university in the fall, and she wants to sit in on protest. She wants to go to all-white restaurants and sit in with the youth, and we watch her experience of doing that, even though her mother is telling her, don't do that. If you do that and you go to jail and you end up like a maid, you end up having no life, just like me. And it's talking about, what do you do? Do you risk? Do you live within the system in order to get educated, or do you protest now? And it has some horrific scenes of them in jail and the treatment of young activists in jail. It is, difficult to read. We see the effects of poverty on early motherhood and health. The health clinic is one of the 3 stories that were published within her lifetime, and it is a story about a mother and children and how hard it is to receive proper medical care. We have a story of a young activist going over to Europe and the way that she's exotified there. We have the story of a young white boy whose brother is going to go south to be in the protests, while his neighbor is from a long legacy of people who have been Confederates, and he is kind of caught between what his parents very much disapprove of his brother, but then also learning about the sympathies of this old lady who has decided to give money to the boy who's gone to protest. It's an interesting story. And the other story that follows a white protagonist is one of a woman who is a divorced woman who has a young son. She falls in love with a doctor who is Black, but light enough in order to pass. And her story when they are together but not together for 7 years, and then after they marry, and that experience and the experience of that family. And yeah, these stories, all of them, there's several more as well, are just so evocatively, like, she's such a varied writer. Like, some of them are her writing about, older people and stuff like that, where there's like, she died at 22. She did not know about these experiences, but she writes of so many of them, and I cannot imagine what kind of writer she would have been if she had lived of an age. And her delicacy and evocativeness and straightforwardness and the way that she's able to render characters, they are all really beautiful. Not all of these stories were 5 stars, but the collection were like full across 5 stars, because so many of these stories are knocked out of the park amazing, and I will continue to think about them, and I wish I had more to read of her.